Hi, I'm Adrian, and I saw a really cool video on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, about, mad scientists. It was basically about Back to the Future and Rick and Morty, and how an awful lot of films of that era had the mad scientist, the person who could sort of work from home in their shed in a bat cave or whatever, and develop all sorts of inventions and gadgets and widgets all by themselves without the resources of some company behind them. Just, stuff they have lying around. They could make shit out of, anything. And how totally implausible that was. How this was a great idea. I mean, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was another one like that. It's quite a lot. There's quite, I mean, they have a good point. A lot of the films on there do have the mad scientist. And the whole idea was just, this doesn't happen. That's not how it works. Inventors build on other inventions. They often have, whole teams of people, companies, whatever. And I was thinking, not sure about this. I mean, when I was a kid, I took all sorts of stuff to pieces and put stuff back together and made things out of the bits I'd taken apart. And I grew up in a village, but anything broke, people would come over to me and get me to fix it. And I just had loads of stuff lying around and soldering iron and things like this. And even when I got my first house, one of the first things I did was make a door entry system. Well, how do you make a door entry system? Well, these days it's actually quite easy, but back then I couldn't get a mag card reader. I mean, I dare say they existed and were expensive, but this was before the internet. How the hell I'd find one, I don't know. So I took apart a Sony Walkman, took out the cassette head, wired it up, ordered some bits from RS, wired up a 6502 board with literally wire wrap, which is, you have a wire wrap tool and wire the wires to the pins on a bare board, and made a door entry system out of a bit of wood and a Sony Walkman head. I mean, years later, I did improve it. I actually managed to get, as it were, a proper mag card reader eventually, and put that on the door. It wasn't until years later we actually moved out. By then, I'd got married, and we didn't really speak to the neighbours much. But shortly before we moved out, my wife was opening the door with credit card, and the neighbours actually got the nerve to ask about it, and she explained the door entry system. But they'd seen us and they were puzzled by it for years, because we sort of went up to the door and just went and opened the door, and no keys involved, and they hadn't seen anything like it. So a little bit mad scientist, but it hasn't stopped. You'll know if you've seen my shopping channel thing. I make loads of shit. And I've progressed from designing circuit boards that I then mill out copper on a copper board on a milling machine, having written the software to drive the milling machine from the drawing I did, to make the milling machine mill the copper, and then soldered the components on and made it like that. I progressed to actually designing boards in KiCad and ordering them from China. But it's still making stuff. And even now I have situations where either I will want something, or a friend or someone will want something, and I'll be, hang on, I've got something that'll do that over there. Hang on, if I take this and you use it this different way than it was designed, here we have a widget to do what you want. And that happens all the time. So apart from all these widgets I do, because they're interesting and I think we can sell them, I actually, people might know this, I actually do sort of some custom work. And it's mostly for mates, but if you've got a good idea and it's not completely stupid and I'm interested, I'm more than happy to work with you on making a design. And it's mostly, ESP32 based. I can do some nice coloured LEDs, I can do USB power, I can do battery power, I can do buttons, I can do I2C, I can do a variety of sensors. I've done loads of the various peripherals to make different small circuit boards. So when my mate last week said, I need, and you're like this, I need something that I can stick to the flywheel on a traction steam engine that will tell me the RPM of the flywheel over Wi-Fi, so I can use that to drive some big display dials with RPM, because he's apparently managed to sort out pressure for something and a few other sensors in various ways involving Raspberry Pis and things, but he wanted something small and battery powered he could stick to a flywheel. And so it's about 2 hours later I actually placed an order with JLC for one of these things. Hang on, this is very, I have to say, Final Cut Pro is terrible, because when recording on Final Cut Pro, the image it shows you is not mirrored. So it's really difficult to get the left, right and things sorted. But this thing, which I think you will see, and it's really difficult to show sort of like this. I can probably just about show it. Like this. All the lights on when it's upside down. Much better to show like that. So this thing is a board with an accelerometer and a gyroscope chip in the middle. And I thought, what the hell, I'll do 16 LEDs around the outside. And I've already got code that will lay out 16 LEDs and all the tracks for me, or any number of LEDs in any size circle, because I did some coasters, so I used that. And a bit of copy and pasting from some stuff to drive the LiPo, there's a LiPo on the back, LiPo charger, and things like that, USB-C, the ESP32S3, a button, a status LED, all that stuff. Grab those from various other circuit boards, put them together, track them all out, and send in an order. And a week later, I've got them on my desk, and another couple of hours making the code actually do that. Now, he doesn't need that. He doesn't need the two-dimensional color spirit level on the circle rings, but it's just a nice touch. He needs the data from the gyro feedback to give him RPM. But it turns out that'll only work up to about 330 RPM before it's too much rotational torque for the gyros. And so after that, thankfully, it's a vertical flywheel. So the plan is some probably kilohertz level accelerometer readings. I should be able to measure that we're down, sideways, up, down, side. I should be able to measure that and work out an RPM. So as soon as he actually gets one of these bolted to a flywheel, I will be doing some code to do that as well. But for the lower speeds, it's fairly straightforward. You just pull off the data off the chip, and it's degrees per second, so you just convert that to RPM, and bingo, you've got the data. And but he said he's got these big old-fashioned like pressure gauge, so it's a metal ring and a back plate and a needle style display things, gauges. And so he's going to shove servos in the back, but he needs to drive servos. I said, hang on a minute, I've got an Ironman board, Ironman's chest. I did, for another mate who needed Ironman stuff. That's got 4 outputs that'll drive servos with big capacitors on to handle all the nasty spikes that the power comes back on the servo. So yeah, I'll send you one of those. So he's now got a servo driver board and a gyro board and some spares, because minimum order is 5. So yeah, if you've got a daft idea and it is mostly about small microcontrollers like this, and ESP32 and USB-C and 5 volts and battery and lights and stuff that you can get like I2C devices, because that's what the accelerometer driver on this is. It's just I2C. It's just, you talk to it, it's really simple. Apart from the BME 288, which I looked at, which will be a nightmare, so I'm not going to play with that yet. But mostly, if you've got something and you need that done, it's worth talking to me. Cover my costs and a bit of my time if it's an interesting project. If you're coming up with something batshit insane or like really hard work, then that'll either be a big quote or a no. But fun projects, I'm absolutely up for fun projects. The more wacky, the better. I mean, for heaven's sake, a flywheel on a traction steam engine, that's about as wacky as you can get. I'm just waiting for the videos of all this. I'll post it when I get it. I'm really hoping he's got videos of the whole system glued together with my boards and his Raspberry Pis and God knows what else he's put together. So yeah, I think the whole mad scientist not being a real thing, yeah, I think it is. I think I probably do qualify as a mad scientist, and I've even got the hairstyle. No, okay.